Thank you so much for tuning into our presentation today. My name is Brooklyn McDermott Highland, and I'm the president of Beta Alpha Psi Mu Omega chapter.
Hi, my name is Emily Amodei, and I am the vice president of community service.
And today we're so excited to share with you our event. It was called Breaking Barriers and Unveiling the Stigma, Empowering Women of Color in Accounting. We decided on our topic of specifically focusing on women of color in accounting due to the unique barriers they face with their intersectional identity of being both a woman and person of color in accounting. According to Becker, women of color represent only 17% of the female population in these entry-level accounting positions, and this decreases to 4% when they reach higher level leadership positions within the company. And before they even start the company, there's this myth of the hard-to-find qualified Black candidate. And Black applicants need to be more accomplished than white applicants to be considered qualified for the exact same position. Our project objectives for this were for students to have an opportunity to have an open dialogue on the topic and to have a chance to share their own experiences with this topic as well. We wanted professors who were in the audience to take this information that they learned and to incorporate it into their classrooms and into their curriculum so that the students could be more well-rounded. We also wanted to show students that they can be an ally to these women of color in accounting by continuing to learn more about the barriers that they face and to also continue to spread the message wherever they go. Our specific idea to spread this knowledge was to begin with networking and for students and panelists to do this over dinner. Panelists include alumni and individuals who are in the industry. We also wanted our moderator to open up and discuss the statistics of women of color in accounting to just give good background knowledge to all our audience. We then hosted a panel centered around the successes, but also the challenges that these panelists had to overcome to get where they are in their career. And we conducted a Q&A session at the end so that audience can ask any questions that they had after the event. For the panelists, we had students reach out to alumni using the Stonehill College alumni search tool on LinkedIn. And students sent messages to potential panelists just explaining what our event was, what we hoped our students can get out of this event, and asking them if they'd be interested in learning more. For anyone who said yes to learning more, we set up one-on-one meetings with the potential panelists to answer any questions they had before agreeing, and to also explain to them the entire purpose of our event and to also talk about what inclusive leadership is and what Beta Alpha Psi is in general. We worked with our panel moderator to accumulate questions to pose to the panelists, and we provided these questions before the event so that panelists could look over the questions and have time to come up with their answers. And from that, we created this wonderful panel. We have Professor Lopes, who is a professor at Stonehill College, and she also has great background on this topic and great passion about it. She even has a podcast dedicated to learning more about these barriers and providing resources for them. We have Anne Hewlett, who is a talent acquisition manager at a Big Four, so she could tell us about the recruiting side. We have Claudia Pierre, who's a manager of risk and advisory consulting at a Big Four. And we had Jana Dubé, who's a senior tax accountant in private industry, and both Claudia and Jana were Stonehill alum. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Emily to tell you how we advertised our event.
Thank you, Brooklyn. So as you can see on the right, here's our poster that we put up in the academic buildings on the bulletin boards to share with students about the event and get them excited. We also had each accounting professor display their poster at the beginning of their lectures a week before the event. We also sent out emails to all Beta Alpha Psi members and candidates, as well as the Accounting Association. So more into the event itself, these are some key themes that we discussed and which the questions were focused on. We talked about experience as women of color in accounting, and more specifically, the barriers they face in the workplace. We also had a question focus on advice for those starting their career, like joining affinity groups, focus on people's backgrounds and values. We also had a question focus on the importance of mentors and sponsors in building confidence, as well as imposter syndrome and how to overcome it. And another important question we had is how people who don't identify as people of color in accounting can advocate for those who do. So some of the specific barriers faced in the workplace are no one explaining the unwritten rules, such as what you wear, how to style your hair, the do's and don'ts in a meeting, and more. One of the other barriers that one of our panelists face is biases from the clients downplaying their intelligence based on their appearance. Actually, one of our panelists shared a story about how she was submitting work for an audit to their client, and the client did know their appearance, that she was a woman of color. And when she submitted this, the client came back saying that there was a ton of errors multiple times. Claudia just kept on submitting it, and there was always errors from this client. But then she had her white colleague submit it, and the client came back and said that there were no errors on the same work that Claudia submitted. This was very eye-opening for our audience, and this was an eye-opening part of our panel. There was also barriers that they were told that they don't look like they should be someone that's in accounting by people in the workplace and also people at college. They also face barriers of team members not making an effort to be inclusive, like hosting team bonding things outside of the workplace. So this is more of a breakdown of our event. As you can see in the pie chart, this is a breakdown of our classes, which were heavily focused on freshmen and the senior classes, which is really important for us to highlight because freshmen are still deciding their majors. And this event may have been a deciding factor in them majoring in accounting, as well as our senior class, who is going into the workplace soon, and they are going to be advocates for those women of color in accounting. And another important statistic is 28% of our students identified as people of color. So we held a pre-event survey and a post-event survey at our event. And one question that we asked is, do you believe that women of color face barriers when entering the field of accounting? And in black, you can see there was an increase in yes, that people believe women of color face barriers when entering the field of accounting, which was great because that shows that people learned stuff at our event. Two other questions that we asked our students, and they could write about more than just a multiple choice question or a ranking, is what is something that you can do to help empower women of color in accounting? And two of the responses we had is I can make sure to mind my own, as well as other people's bias against women of color. And another one was I would like to welcome them and have a connection with them while at the workplace and help spread awareness about the women of color. Another question we asked is, much like the question in the panel, what is your hope for the future of women of color in accounting? And these two responses said, I do hope that there are improvements that can be made to have women of color in accounting not seem like something that should be ostracized. And I hope there will be a time where being a woman of color in accounting is a normality and not something uncommon. So seeing these responses made us feel like our event was really impactful for the people that were there because they really got something out of it. Another question that we asked in our post-event survey is, after this event, how likely are you to learn more about the barriers minorities face in the field of accounting? 1 being not at all, and 5 being very likely. So about 85% of our students rated 4 and above, meaning that they are likely to very likely willing to learn more about the barriers minorities face in the field of accounting. And we also had an average rating of 4.16, which means that they are very likely to learn more. So now I'm going to pass it off to Brooklyn to talk more about our unexpected outcomes of the event.
Thank you, Emily. So to start off, the search process for the panelists was eye-opening in itself. We realized through this that we have very few Stonehill alums who are women of color who are working in accounting. And this really proved to us that we should have this event and why it's so important talk about this and to bring this topic up to hopefully inspire this in the future. We had a large number of males in the audience too, which was really great to see, and a lot of them left comments and their final thoughts in the post-event survey saying that they had never thought about this topic before because it didn't pertain to them, but that they learned so much throughout this entire experience and that they will take this with them in their future careers. We also had a large number of students of color who attended this event, and they voiced to us that this felt like a safe and comfortable environment for them to ask their questions and to get advice. And they could also identify with some of the experiences that the panelists have faced. In the Q&A portion of this event, students had incredibly insightful questions, which in the past, students tend to go for the questions such as, like, is the CPA exam hard? And questions that are more surface level. But this event had students delve deeper. They asked questions like, what keeps you going despite all the barriers you have faced? And how do you find a mentor that's going to be there for you through this? And the panelists had wonderful advice for both of these questions. Now, these are some pictures from the event. You'll see our panel moderator, Professor Lopes, asking questions to our panelists. Right here, you can see that we put a backdrop behind the panelists while they're on stage. So if anyone had any questions about specific industries, that they would know who to ask. And right here, you can see some of our audience who attended and how there was a large male audience, which was super exciting to see. On LinkedIn, our panelist, Anne Hewlett, said that she was so impressed by the enthusiastic turnout, and especially by how many first-year males who were in the audience, and that she was really looking forward to future collaborations. Both Claudia Pierre and Jana Dubé said that they wished that they had an event like this when they were at Stonehill, and that they were so appreciative that they could give back to this community. The audience was asked by the moderator, would you like to see DEI initiatives be implemented within your accounting classes? And a lot of students had a lot to say about this, and they were just very, very interested in learning more about this topic and combining accounting classes and the DEI initiatives. And all panelists expressed that they really wanted to join us in the future and bring this event to the classroom, showing that this is just the beginning of delving into this topic. Both Emily and I really wanted to thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. This was an amazing event. We both learned so much ourselves, and we know that our students really valued the experience and they really valued the knowledge that they learned and that they will take this with them to their future careers. And we really hope to continue talking about this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.